So, what is this going to look like? How should we feel about it? Let's bring in two people who do nothing but study this, okay? One is someone I rely on very heavily, Executive Director of the Urban War Institute, John Spencer, and Palestinian-American activist and writer, Ahmed Alkhatib. Did I say it right, Ahmed?
You did, yes.
Good, thank you. Because I have a funny name also, so like we got to always get our phonics right for each other. You know what I mean? That's how we raise our ethnic stakes. All right, so John, I want first of all thank you both, and let's have a free and fair exchange. John, what do you make of this idea to go into Gaza City? What is the plus minus?
So, like we talked about just a couple of days ago, I think it's long overdue. As you beautifully said, give me an alternative that even gets the hostages back, let alone gets to what everybody, and you're talking even Qatar, which is pretty interesting, says absolutely Hamas should lay down their arms and give up power, give up the hostages. Okay, but what's the plan? So I will correct you a little bit on what Netanyahu said before he walked into that meeting. We do not want to occupy. We do not want to govern Gaza, Gaza City, none of it. We want to take control so that we can achieve those three goals and transition it to a civilian governance immediately. And this is, again, if somebody wants to help, one, report factually what's happening. Over 500 aid trucks went into Gaza on top of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The airdrops are happening. It actually is flooding the humanitarian aid. And you're right, Netanyahu said, like Rafah, for this, it won't start until we've set the condition to move those people out of harm's way, which is step one for any military operation, and get them to where they can get aid faster, medical, electricity. He even said sewage, all of that while you move the IDF towards Gaza City, which they haven't touched once.
Listen, I wish I could report on a lot more things with confidence. I can't because I'm not there, and I don't have my people on the ground, so that I can get sourcing on things.
Chris,
John,
he said,
go ahead.
So Fox News pressed him on that, and Netanyahu said, absolutely, I've put out a policy that we have to start letting in. So I don't know if that means you, Chris, and NewsNation, but I hope it does.
I haven't gotten the word. But I don't want to be there with the IDF. No disrespect. No disrespect. But the only troops that I'm going to travel with are American troops, and not because I think they're better than IDF troops, but I am an American. Okay, the bias is there. I am not Israeli. I do not want them shepherding me around. If it's not safe, it's not safe. That's on me. Brother Al-Khatib, let me bring you in here. What is your concern about this, and what do you make of the notion that the fastest end here is for Hamas to surrender? Do you agree?
Well, I listened to your monologue, and I couldn't agree more that there needs to be more pressure on Hamas by politicians, by the pro-Palestine movement, the pro-Palestine movement. And I've said that time and again. I've been on the record since day one of this horrendous war that began on October 7th. I think what's missing from this conversation is that why is the target of the military operation going after Gaza City, where I grew up, where my family's home was destroyed, where my family lost, my brother was in his house, in the family house when it was bombed, and he pushed his way out of the rubble. Why are we going after Gaza City, which was already largely conquered, and leaving the central camps, Deir el-Balah, Nasirat, Khan Yunis, where Hamas has dominion over the population, over parts of the humanitarian aid, likely has the hostages there. This feels like a distraction. This feels like a nothing burger that allows Mr. Netanyahu to escalate the war without any clear, tangible, tactical, or operational gains or benefits. It is unlikely that Hamas retains any significant capability in northern Gaza, in Gaza City. And furthermore, I don't understand this idea that this is happening almost 2 years later. Why isn't the full conquest or conquering of Gaza in its entirety? Why didn't that happen at the beginning of the war? Why did we do this silly north to south strategy that simply allowed Hamas to travel down south? And we ended up with killing Sinwar in Rafah. We got Deif, the head of the military wing, in Khan Yunis, and the other Deif in the south. So what's to prevent remnants of Hamas in Gaza City from actually just packing up and leaving with the million other people? This is going to create further humanitarian suffering. that I fear is not only unnecessary, but leaves the unaddressed problem of Hamas in central Gaza.
John, give me a quick button and let me get going.
Sure. So during the last ceasefire, Hamas pushed 1 million civilians back into their homes into northern Gaza. Most of Gaza City was left untouched for the last, because of the concern for that's where the hostages were and the central camps, like he said, which are absolutely right. But they pushed those civilians to surround themselves in the human shield. So that's why step one, like you said, is to get the civilians out of harm's way. Go in and clear Hamas from areas that have not been touched once. Gain the intelligence on the hostages. But he's right. But the IDF that went into Rafah and did that successful operation isn't the same IDF that went into Gaza City in November of 2023, when the United Nations said you can't move civilians out of their homes. And, Chris, all of this alleviated if Egypt would open its gates.
Brother Alkhatib, you are always welcome here to make the case of what's missing in the conversation. And you should always feel free to disagree with me, just like Spencer does. I bring you guys in for a reason. You know better, not just through lived experience, but through study and sources. And I'm sorry for what happened to your family. And I hope we don't see that completely revisited again. I do not have high hopes for what we're hearing right now. John Spencer, thank you. Brother Alkhatib.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.